I'm Katie Haynes, or as some of you might know me, the Doctor. You can find me at KatieGangel44 on TikTok, and you have been listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting. Speaking of which, I got this one, and I got all of these. I really should have a display for these.
They all say, who is Doctor Who? Where is he from? What does he do? They wonder who is Doctor Who? So I ask you, who's Doctor Who?
Welcome back to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, the podcast that explores the world of Doctor Who collecting, all the collectors, and sometimes Doctor Who merchandise and just plain Doctor Who. Great place to do that. We're brought to you in part by Forbidden Planet and Bags Unlimited Incorporated. I am Larry Van Mersbergen, your host and producer, and I've been a Doctor Who collector now for 42 years. Welcome to the 63rd episode. We're very excited to be here. We're celebrating 60 years of Doctor Who this year. What an amazing adventure that has been so far. I actually opened up one of the first Doctor Who stores in the Chicago area. It actually opened in Skokie in 1984. After I was able to import Doctor Who items from the UK, from pen pals that I had established, and I called the shop Bundles from Britain. I didn't think anything of it because I was 15 years old at the time. And what we did was, or what I did, is I basically boxed everything up and I took it to every fan club meeting that I could get access to that would allow me to set up. And of course, that led to a very important stop at the Many Companions of Doctor Who in Chicago, when after a meeting where I did particularly well, I was pulled aside by a gentleman who said, "Hey, I think you've got something here, and we should probably talk about a partnership." And that man was Gene Smith. And Gene, of course, is the CEO of Alien Entertainment, the head of DoctorWhoStore.com, and the showrunner of Chicago TARDIS. So, yes, things started right there. So I'm very proud to be part of that. And, of course, I had no idea it was that important until I picked up a book called Red, White, and Who, The Story of Doctor Who in America, and found my little company on page 384. I thought that was just crazy, but it's in a history book now. So it's part of Doctor Who history. That is a humbling fact. You can find this book pretty much on eBay or Amazon now. It is, I believe, out of print. I will be contacting ATB Publishing to find out if another printing is due. But you can find it out there. Amazon.com has used copies. They're a little bit more expensive than the cover price, but definitely worth having a copy in your collection. We are part of the Direction Point Doctor Who Podcast Network, and you can find some great podcasts at directionpoint.org. Speaking of links, we have two wonderful resources that I include in every episode of the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. The first one, of course, is timelash.com, and when you arrive there, click on the TARDIS Library. Create a free account and keep track of all your media items from Doctor Who, from books to videos and vinyl recordings. I don't believe magazines are part of that, but it's a great place to create want lists or look up what's coming out. He's got it up to date as far as what's being released now. It's a lot of work to keep that going, so we thank Mr. Dan O'Malley for keeping that up and running and keeping it free. If you need to do some deep dive research, like you need to know about a numbered item or an item that you found in a charity shop that says Dalek cigarettes, what is this about? You need Howe's Transcendental Toy Box at doctorwhotoybox.co.uk. And of course, by Howe, we of course mean David J. Howe. He's a good friend and a great resource for collectors. Of course, he's also the author of the Target book and, of course, Howe's Transcendental Toy Box from Telos Publications. If you're looking for great Doctor Who items at good prices, look no further than DoctorWhoStore.com. It's in the name. And that is the website of Alien Entertainment's Doctor Who store. And they have a lot of sales running, a lot of great stuff. new stuff. They're also the North American Big Finish retailer, so you can get your Big Finish CDs right from them. You can also select free pickup from the Lombard location if you're in the Chicago suburbs and save on those shipping costs. That's a great thing. They also have a location in Logan Square in Chicago, so visit alienentertainment.com for those locations and store hours. You can also, of course, find great stuff at Forbidden Planet, and they sponsor us to a degree, and you can find us find their website right from our website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com. Select merchandise links, and you can shop at Forbidden Planet right there. We just get a small commission off of each of those sales, and we are currently updating the site with items that are new. Some of the items have become discontinued, so we are trying to make sure that that's up to date. Don't forget, we have an eBay store with lots of Target books and hardcover books and other items to help keep the lights on and the microphones working. So there you go. All proceeds, of course, benefit the podcast. In addition, of course, on our website to all our podcasts, we have one of the most definitive guides to classic hardcover books. We list a lot of reprints. We list information about why they're priced the way they are, why they're hard to find, print run information if it's available, stuff about, we just discovered, just for instance, if you have a hardcover edition of the War Games, check your dust jacket, because the first 100 or so have an error printed. They have Terrence Dick's photo with Malcolm Hulk's biography. They stopped the presses. They took Terrence Dick's photo out and just left the bio. My copy of the War Games just has the biography without the photo, but I recently received a photograph of a copy with the photo. So that actually makes a difference with the price. So there you go. That's why it's important to have the information. We're here to educate as well as entertain. So that's the whole point here. Chicago TARDIS 2023 is now set for November 2023, Thanksgiving weekend. Join us for the 60th anniversary convention, the best convention in the Midwest, and you can find out more at chicagotardis.com. As of right now, there are no announcements that are made. We were told that guest announcements would be happening in the early part of January, but nothing has happened yet, and here we are in the middle of March. So I will update you as much as possible, but go to the website, get on their email list, and you can be updated as quickly as possible. You don't want to miss this year's convention. I'm sure that the guest list will be good, and all the panels will be good, of course. And of course, I hope to return with the Doctor Who Collectors Showcase. It was full last year, and we want to keep that rolling. Here's what else is going on. Of course, I am also confirmed to be a guest at Consinity 2023. That's Saturday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at Dirks Hall at the Milwaukee School of Engineering University in Milwaukee. I will have a table there with some Doctor Who goodies for sale, as well as a session on Doctor Who collecting. So I might also be on a panel for something else as well. So just keep tuned in here and our website, of course, for those events. I will be presenting a virtual session on Doctor Who games and at Oricon 23. That's an Oregon convention. A little bit difficult for me to get to Oregon, so they were very happy to add me as a virtual guest. I'm also confirmed to be an in-person guest at one of the growing Doctor Who festivals in the Midwest, and that's Doctoberfest. And that will be, let's see, I don't have a date on that yet, but we'll get that to you soon. Other guests will be announced when those are confirmed, and they're looking at some good ones, so stay tuned. I will have the Doctor Who Collector Showcase and Traveling Museum in a dedicated room. So there we go. More information to come. I've also been tentatively confirmed to be a guest at the Twin Cities Console Room in 2024. That's in Minneapolis. And I am hoping to be at Gallifrey One in 2024. We'll see how that goes. So watch this space for those things as well. New to the collection, as of this recording, a complete set of Doctor Who Marvel comics in mint condition. That was a nice find. A couple of games, the Dalek Battle Through Time and the Exterminate Buzz Wire game are here as well. And that's part of my gaming research. So that's, part of the podcast. That's all for now, so stay tuned. I am working on another set of YouTube videos on the collection called Scenes from the Shelf. Some of those pictures have gone out on Instagram and Facebook, little snippets of what is on the shelves, and I'm going to go through in great detail. So just look for our YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube and search for the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. All of our podcasts are there as well as a couple of videos. We've had a lot of controversy about rumors regarding second or third printing of classic hardcover books floating around the various social media channels. I've closed the door on the Space War rumor of a third printing. No one has any evidence of that. No one in the credible world of Doctor Who collecting has come up with anything other than it's just somebody said they had one. And so that is not good enough. If one does exist out there, we'd like to see some photographic proof, because only with concrete proof can we update our website and make sure that it is accurate for collectors. So if you have such a book that is not listed on our guide, a third printing, a second printing that nobody knew about, we're still kind of holding in the air that Brain of Morbius second printing, because there is a source that lists that, but the other source does not. So maybe one's out there, maybe one isn't. Maybe it was planned and never done. Kind of like Attack of the Cybermen. In 1985, we got word from Lyle Stewart that they were going to be doing Attack of the Cybermen in hardcover. And we, of course, pre-ordered 100 copies, thinking that was going to be a big seller. It never actually got published. It got published in Target paperback form, but not in hardcover. So there you go. Of course, I love talking to collectors. If you're a collector and you'd like to share your story, contact me here, Doctor Who Collectors Podcast at gmail.com, and we can get you on the show. On today's show, of course, we are wrapping up Gallifrey One 33 1/3. The revolution, with my very special guest, returning guest, Miss Katie Haynes, our favorite 13th Doctor cosplayer. She's always fun to talk to. And by the way, we are ranked on FeedSpot. They rank the top 90 Doctor Who podcasts based on listenership and social media presence and all that. And we are number 33 in that list. So that's pretty good. I'm thinking, hey, we made the list. And some of the other Direction Point podcasts are on that list as well. So it's a really good thing to check out. You can find more about that if you just Google FeedSpot, or I believe it's feedspot.com. But if I'm wrong, Google FeedSpot. And thank you for your support. If you want to see exclusive material that we can't show you on a podcast because it's audio, like our video interviews and things that we show each other on the videos here and all that, and some of the things that the guests have shown up, you can see those videos on our Patreon page. And at the $15 level or above, and of course those funds are important, keeps the microphones working. You can find us at patreon.com/Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, and you can support us there. You can also support us at any level. At the $10 level, you'll get 1 day early access to this podcast. Our theme song is Who's Doctor Who, composed by Barry Mason and Les Reed, performed by our friend Fraser Hines. If you want to share this podcast, we are available almost anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Podbean. We are not on Spotify. We are a Direction Point Network podcast, and you can find out more about that at directionpoint.org. Well, it's time for my time. My time is a chance to talk about anything related to Doctor Who and my opinions, and they're solely mine. But I was wanting to address recent issues with collectors out there, or would-be collectors out there, getting what we call scammed. That is, you agree to make a purchase, you send the money, and then nothing happens. There's just crickets chirping. And that's a problem. That is a serious problem, because on the one hand, that really kind of bites into legitimate sellers out there. And there are legitimate sellers out there. Speaking on Facebook, of course, if you're looking for a reputable Doctor Who person, then you can look for Dale Santos, Elwithis Pagan, David Russell, Aaron's Collectibles, that's Aron, and you can find those out there. Those are legitimate. Some of the tips you can follow for keeping yourself safe include when you send a payment, especially through PayPal or one of those other, or Venmo, make sure you select the option for purchase goods or services. And I know that there's a fee involved, and the seller usually has to pay that fee. And they sometimes will say, don't do that. if it's a reputable dealer, that's fine. But if you don't know this person from Adam, click that box, because then you have an out. If you can prove through, keep all your messages. And by the way, if you're using Facebook Messenger, take a screenshot of every message so that you have some proof. I know it's a little more work, but if you want to be protected and you're parting with money, make sure that you take care of yourself. Of course, you can always email me at drwhocollectorspodcast@gmail.com. If you're unsure about something, I'm more than happy to check it out for you. So there you go. And just stay, to the reputable places out there. There's so many wonderful places you can shop for Doctor Who items. I mentioned DoctorWhoStore.com. There are good eBay channels out there. By the way, eBay has a protection program in place. Amazon.co.uk has a lot of great stuff. AbeBooks.com also comes with protections and things like that. So, stick with the reputable dealers as first, and then if you're looking at a private sale, make sure you're doing it through Facebook Marketplace, or let it, so ask around, post on some of the Doctor Who posts out there from Facebook or whatnot, or groups, I should say, and ask, hey, has anybody heard of this guy? Don't wait till after you get scammed, because those are the ones I read. It's like, does anybody know this guy? I sent him $300 and then there's nothing. And I just feel bad for that person, because that means somebody got ripped off. And that's not what this is about. It really puts a bad taste in your mouth, and nobody wants to do that. That's just not right. So there you go. That's my time. And coming up after the break here, we've got our interview with Katie Haynes, she's basically without caffeine. She is on full, and we love that. She's an amazing person. We also have the most outrageous offer. We'll be talking about that most outrageous offer, a copy of Doctor Who Empire of Death. You'll be surprised to see what one seller is asking for it. So there we go. So stay tuned.
Are you ready to travel through time with us? Then check out Traveling the Vortex, a Doctor Who podcast. For nearly 7 years and more than 500 episodes, we've traveled from one end of the vortex to the other, making different stops with different doctors, reviewing everything from TV stories to audio plays, from books to comics, and more. Sean, Keith, and Glenn take you on a journey through 50-plus years of Doctor Who episodes and spin-off materials. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, so be sure to check us out. And now, we're a proud member of Direction Point, a Doctor Who podcast network. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
We are going on a journey, a very long journey, through the world of the Target novelizations in publication order. Every week, we are looking at a new book, talking about Terrence Dicks, Malcolm Hulke, and all our Doctor Who novelization friends. Whatever you do, keep turning the pages. This is Jason Miller of the Doctor Who Literature Podcast, a member of the Direction Point Podcast Network, and you are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Hi, I'm Juliet.
And I'm Nathan.
Experience Doctor Who from the very beginning through a classic fan's eyes.
And through the eyes of a new Who fan.
Reminisce and relive those classic moments with Nathan as he offers fun insight.
Or experience them for the first time with Juliet as she dwells on social issues, history, fashion, and the size of a flashlight.
We're the Time Streams Podcast.
Find us on Spotify, Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
What is your native planet? Gallifrey. I am a Time Lord. Ah, yes. A race of great technical achievement, but lacking the morale to withstand a determined assault. No, you think so? I'm only a lowly commander, Doctor. I merely quote from the appreciation circulated by our military intelligence. Yes, but you'll be well advised never to put that appreciation to the test, Links.
Up there is the scanner, those are the doors, that is a chair with a panda on it. Sheer poetry, dear boy.
And now it's time for our main story. We just wrapped up Gallifrey One 33 1/3, which was out in Los Angeles, California. And 33 1/3, by the way, is a reference to how old that convention is. It is 33 years and a third old. The first Galley One convention was held on May 25th, 1990. And it was the guests, by the way, were John Pertwee, John Nathan Turner, and John Levine.
It was called the Three Johns.
Yes, it was.
Someone told me that story. It was the three. They called it the Three Johns Convention. And I just realized,
yes. And joining me is one of my frequent guests, Katie Haynes, who jumped in before I could introduce her. But that's okay. You don't need an introduction. You're part of this show now. So. But yeah, the Three Johns back in 1990. Now, here's another interesting little tidbit, because many people don't know that Gallifrey One and Chicago TARDIS are inexplicably connected, because before it was Chicago TARDIS, it was Visions. Visions started in November of 1990, just a few months after Galley. That's why Gene Smith is on the board for Galley One.
I'm 1 year older than Gallifrey One.
Yes.
Because I just realized, because I'm 33 years old right now. I am 1 year older than Galley.
Okay, well, there you go. And of course, both conventions came out of the ashes of Spirit of Light, which held the two biggest conventions in history, which were back in 1984 and 1985 in Chicago, Illinois. And those were the conventions that had Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and a whole list of people that were, it was a huge convention. Unfortunately, Spirit of Light overspent its budget. They cheated some actors. The guy who ran it wasn't very honest. And as a result, TARDIS 23 never happened. And some people got their money back, some didn't. But that's how that worked. Of course, Visions lasted from 1990 to 1998. 1999 was canceled. And then in 2000, it came out of the ashes as Chicago TARDIS. So that's how that convention kind of mirrors Gallifrey One. And you've probably saw at Galley One, all of the Chicago TARDIS staff at Galley One.
Yes!
They were all there. And that's usually a place where they go. And a lot of times they talk with the artists to try to work out contracts and things like that. But that's just.
Can I do a mini plug? Can I do a mini plug
Go ahead.
For your listeners?
Sure.
This is going out to the Chicago TARDIS staff. There are really bring everybody, but if there are two people that I think would be brilliant for you to bring, Richard Price. He is a Cyberman performer. He is a Sea Devils performer. He's on Twitter a lot, as well as Simon. I gotta remember his last name. Simon Carew. I think that's right. He is also another Cyberman performer. They were both there at Galley. The guest list this year at Galley was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
I'm telling Galley, Chicago TARDIS, spend the money. Get Jody back here. Get Chris.
I'll be honest. I made that comment on one of the one of my dear friends who was at Galley One was Tony Lee. I don't know if you saw him out there. Yeah.
No. I have. Oh my God. I owe Tony Lee.
Lee was on stage with Jody for.
We're gonna jump ahead for 1 second.
Sure,
we're gonna jump ahead because, as you were gonna say, Tony Lee hosted the script read along.
Yes.
Jody Whittaker, and so I think, and of course I pay to go. If Jody's doing it, I'm doing it. So I shoot my hand up and I'm waving around, and Jody says, "Well, this person's been practicing my accent. She's got to come up." So I come up. She plays Yaz. I play the Doctor. And we've got this big to do where we're actually holding hands. I can't believe she did that. And then, so the whole thing is a blast.
Yes.
They brought Chris Chibnall was there.
Yes.
And they brought him up, and Jody brought him up purposefully because he writes a lot of let's call it sciencey, Y&C big words. And she purposefully wanted him to say those words in a Dalek voice.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was so upset because he says, Nick Briggs lives a block away from me. So they got him to voice the Dalek, and it was so funny because people are coming up and they're all getting hugs from Jodie. Now the person who I performed with, we didn't get hugs. So me being me, I was like, I didn't get a hug. I said out loud, I didn't get a hug. And Tony says, I didn't get a hug. So I come around, I go up to give him a hug. He's like, no, this is my origin story. And I got to send him this podcast when this is over, because at the end of the run, it was wonderful. They actually, I want to remember that, sorry. For those of you who don't know, this took 2 years, this accent took 2 years to learn. Yes. And I practice it whenever I can. And I actually, I got a couple of Doctor Who actors to say, where are you from? And I was
notably Fraser Hines.
Fraser, as it has been said before on this podcast, if you buy a general admission ticket to any Doctor Who con, it comes with Fraser Hines.
Fraser Hines comes with your ticket. I know, I've said it before, and you will again.
So at the very end, they actually got Jodie to do her original regeneration line. Because a lot of some people don't know, her original regeneration line was not tag Yori. It was actually, I think it was, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Right.
But it's going to be brilliant. So if you paid for, here we go, stay there.
Okay. While she's doing that, Tony Lee, I had commented on one of the posts and I said, well, Chicago TARDIS, why can't you get Jodie Whittaker? And Tony Lee wrote back one line and he said, money. And that was Tony's answer. He I know it's money. It's a lot of money to bring out the big guns, but I always said that's what gets
Galley One was sold out.
Yes, completely sold out.
Did not happen last year, probably because of COVID. I don't know if that happened the year before. It was Saturday was insane.
Yes.
The amount of running that was going around, the lines were out the door. It was, and hopefully the CT staff is listening and noted that, because that's, last year Chicago TARDIS Saturday did sell out. And we could, and of course that's because they capped the numbers a little lower due to the first year back from pandemic. We're coming up to the second year out, and we're hoping that the COVID policy is updated a little bit so that they can open the doors to more people. But I said, if you bring in a heavy duty guest like Jodie, charge a little more, charge. And people will come from all over the place because that's where they want to be. And, and you don't have to stack the deck with so many guests. I mean, it's great. Now this is not a slight to my Big Finish friends. I love them to death. And Big Finish, you are gold. I love you.
Yes, absolutely. We just had Tim Traylor on the podcast. You just one of the friendliest, nicest guys you've ever known. And of course, Lauren Cornelius and Sadie Miller, and we're still trying to get Daisy Ashford. She hasn't answered back, but we'll get her. But anyway, it's like, I love those folks, but I know that that's kind of the big draw for Chicago TARDIS, is that because Alien Entertainment is the North American distributor for Big Finish, that's a big thing for them. But it'd be nice if you got Jodie Whittaker and we had Tosin Cole. I mean, a couple of years ago we had Tosin. Yeah, I mean, and he was great. I love talking to him. So I thought, of course, Galley One is the largest Doctor Who convention in America. So go ahead and you went and you got that script signed, I see. Yeah.
So this is if you paid for a ticket, you got a signed script by Jodie autograph.
That's great.
Got a signed autograph. But at the very end, Jodie does her regeneration. It's beautiful. She goes off, and I think, all right, I'm gonna finish the joke. And I go up to Tony and I give him a hug, and he says, "Here," and he hands me a script that is not signed.
Oh,
only one that's not signed. because it was the script that Jodie herself used.
Oh, how about that? So
And I went and I got it signed by
oh, that's
Jodie,
nice.
and I also
And
got
Chris
it signed
Chibnall.
by Chris Chibnall. And
there are script collectors out there right now with their tongues on the floor.
Also, I love someone didn't. If you go to Galley, one of the things you know is that the ribbon culture.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So I gave this to Chris and I gave it to Jodie. It says 13 is my second heart in Gallifrey.
Oh, that's great.
And there was someone who didn't have ribbons. They had little stamps. So that's a Snardis.
A Snardis. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
A snail with a TARDIS.
A snail with a TARDIS, if you're for my listeners there, and the Gallifreyan seal.
Seal of Rasputin. Okay. And a lot of people know that I have mixed feelings about Chris Chibnall's writing.
Oh, sure.
Some of it I love. Some of it, I've said it before. I'm like, Chibs, go sit in the, and I call Chibs now, of course. Chibs, go sit in the corner, think about what you did, but you will genuinely never meet a nicer, more humble, just lovely fellow. And
that's what I hear. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so here's a little treat for your people who are watching this podcast.
All my Patreon viewers here, and if you're not on Patreon, now's the time to get on so you can see this wonderful thing.
So I go up, my friend Dominic is there, and she records this. Now you were not allowed to record during the script reading. And really, you should not record at Galley.
No. It's just just a common sense thing.
But so I go up. Where is it? Because I don't want to show. Someone did record my interaction with Jodie, and I'm not going to show that because.
Okay.
But come on, where is it? Because I'd met him, and one thing that people might not know about Galley One is that there are cocktail hours.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's where you can go and spend a little bit of time with all of the guests, and they are lovely blokes. Like I was talking with Craig Ells was there, who plays Count Mister. Richard was there. I'm blanking on his name, but he was in Dead Ringers.
Okay.
For,
is that the guy that did Tom Baker?
Tom Baker.
Yeah, in the Dead Ringers. Oh, those were always brilliant.
I was like, you're the train bloke. You're the train bloke.
Yeah.
And by 6 degrees of separation, we actually have worked together.
Yes.
Because I did an audio with Matt Chambers, who is my godfather, is a dear friend of mine. He knows him, and they got him on to play the Brigadier, and he was amazing.
Oh yeah.
So I get in line because I'm like, I got to have Chip sign this. And okay, all right. Jodie was charging $80 for an autograph.
Mm-hmm. Pretty reasonable, actually.
It was $40 for Sophie. I think it was $60 for Colin. Guess how much Chib's charged?
How much?
Take a wild guess.
50? Lower? 20?
Go lower.
10?
Go lower.
5?
He charged nothing.
Nothing
to get
free autographs from Chris Chibnall.
And so where is it? I'm going to find it because it was.
Well, that's okay, because while you're looking, I'll just let the listeners know that Gallifrey One's Miracle on 34th Street, every time a bell rings, a weeping angel gets its wings. Tickets go on sale next month, and that's already getting going here. They've announced the event. They have not announced any guests as of now, but that will be coming soon. And of course, this will be the one right after the 60th anniversary. So
it's going to be huge.
It's going to be a big convention. That's why I'm trying to see if I can work my way to getting there. If I can fly out on Friday and fly back Sunday, it'd be worth at least getting out there for the podcast anyway. Oh yeah, you found it. Okay.
It's not going to show.
No, that's all right.
Oh, can I get it? No, it's not going to work.
What you can do though is, for post production, and that's fine. You can send me that video. I can edit it in.
every single doctor in the universe took my hand and said, run. But 13 was the first one that put a star in my hand and said, come see the universe with me.
That's great.
And I do start crying there.
Look at the smile on his face. Oh my gosh, he just lit up. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's fun. Oh, what a wonderful moment.
And I started crying. I said, I wish she was still the doctor. And he said, she will always be the doctor. And then... And he was
amazing.
So warm. He was so loving. I actually rode back on a shuttle with him.
Oh, nice.
To get back to the airport. Absolute love. The amount of 13s who were there this
year. Sure. Yes.
So I owe Tony for that autograph, which was one of the best for that script. And now having that and being like, yeah, this isn't just a script she signed. This is a script she used.
Like,
her hands were on it.
That's great.
It got a little folded, but I'm like, you know what? And everything in here is amazing.
Well, Tony's a great guy. I've known him
he's incredible.
I've known him for many years, and he and I always catch up a lot. When he comes to Chicago, we usually catch up. And
I need to buy him dinner. Like I need to buy him.
He'll accept. He's a very good author and illustrator, and he's written a lot of Bernice Summerfield adventures.
Yes.
And things like that. So he's pretty on that stuff, and just a wonderful all around guy. Last time I saw him, he like threw his arm around me and said, "Larry, how you doing?" And it was just really wonderful that I saw him go out there, and he loves coming over to this country.
I wish, quite frankly, he would take me back with him. But it was really. Everyone was in the highest of spirits. The cosplayers.
Oh, yes.
There was a huge, and I do mean huge, 13th Doctor meetup where literally.
Oh, look at that! Yeah.
There was everybody.
That's amazing.
There were anyone from the 13 era. We had 13s. We had one of my friends showed up as Rasputin, my friend Chris.
Oh wow!
Went down to the he went down to the dance on Saturday because a lot of people there are certain things that happen at Galley every single year. There's the ribbon exchanges.
Right.
There's the In-N-Out burger run, which for those who are not frequent in California, In-N-Out is a.
You've got to do it. There. I love In-N-Out burger.
It is probably one of the few fast food places on the planet where I can say what you get a great amount of food. I do. It's a lot of fun. They actually didn't have their milkshakes working at the time. But
I think it's a law that milkshake machines break down. That's the McDonald's rule.
I actually think they shut it down because they knew the Galley people were coming in, and it's a big event.
It is. That's a big convention in LA. I know.
And they got everyone. They got Dominic, who, for those of you in the Doctor Who fan community, he is. You should try to get him on. Like he is a wealth of Doctor Who knowledge.
I was gonna say, when I saw that photo, I thought you were standing with Richard Ariardi. I thought that wouldn't surprise me that he would go either. He's a huge Doctor Who fan.
He's amazing. I honestly, Richard, I've gotten into debates with my fiance. One of the few debates we've ever had is whether or not Richard Ayoade would be a good doctor. I think he would.
I thought he would be. I honestly thought he was a contender because
I wanted him. I really wanted him.
His roles on IT Crowd and Travel Man and Gadget Man were all brilliant.
Okay.
I'm sorry he's not doing Travel Man anymore, but just a wonderful actor.
So this is my friend Eric, who a lot of people know on TikTok as Perfect 10 cosplay.
Yeah.
And he's actually done stand-in work for David Tennant. And another big event that happens is the Ice Cream Social. That's kind of the kickoff party for Doctor Who, which is followed by karaoke. They usually have karaoke 2 nights in a row, but the Thursday night is the karaoke night.
Okay.
And so it's like 1 a.m, and someone runs up to him and says, oh my God, you look exactly like David Tennant. I have to text him. And it's Chris Chibnall.
Oh my gosh.
At 1 a.m, Chris Chibnall crashed the
and texted David Tennant. That's wild.
Apparently texted David Tennant saying, hey, there's somebody at the con who looks exactly like you. And we were all last.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
All of the cosplayers were out. There was a group. I hope I must have gotten a photo of them. All of the masters. There's my friend Chris.
Yes.
Adam. Anyone who knows me knows that I would literally lay on train tracks for Missy. I would also lay on train tracks for Sasha Dewan's master. Those are my masters right there.
I've met Michelle Gomez. She's absolutely wonderful.
Oh my God. I would literally,
she was at TARDIS a few years ago.
I would not be able to control myself. That woman is holy in my eyes.
Well, she was very, I would say, probably the most flirty of the female actresses I've ever met. Even though she's married to a wonderful actor who was in MI5 and all that. But she was very very forthcoming and forward, and just wonderful. Because when I sat next to her at one of the meet and greets, and I said, I just have to say, I loved you in Green Wing, and she looked at me and said, do you know that everybody, we all got our start on that show. All these famous British actors are on this. It's a silly sitcom called Green Wing.
I know Green Wing.
Yeah.
If you're not a fan of adult humor, I highly
it's very adult and very silly, but it's got it's got so many big names in there.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And she of course plays the HR person, and she said she had a blast working with all those people doing that show, and that's how she got launched to her career. And of course, playing Missy, and of course my favorite scene with Michelle Gomez is when she's standing with Jenna Coleman over this pit and says, how deep do you think that is? And she pushes her into it. Okay, about 20 feet.
So my wonderful fiance, who does puppetry, he actually does puppetry under the name Monster Time Troupe. I want to find it because we did one together because I'm we have to do this. Anyone who knows, I go and visit him every year in London. He takes me to the Who shop every year. It is which by the way, always great to see Auntie Alex and Kevin at the Who shop. They were there. Everyone was in full swing.
Yes. I just got a message from those folks at the Who shop because they are sending me one of the 60th anniversary jackets.
Yes, they have them on sale.
Yes. So it's on its way right now. I just want to mention to my listeners here that Gallifrey One this year had 3,104 attendees. So that was pretty amazing. Jodie Whittaker's first appearance at a dedicated Doctor Who convention. And just an absolute amazing convention, and the amount of people that were involved in that show, including many people who are on the staff of Chicago TARDIS. In addition, I don't know if you got a chance to meet my other good friends out there, David Howe and Samantha Howe, J. Howe. They had a booth out there at for Telos Publications.
Wait a minute. For the art, right?
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. David has the largest Doctor Who collection in the world. I've been told I have the largest one in the United States. I don't know.
Oh my God.
But that's David. David and I are very good friends. I've had him on the podcast
There are so many
times.
people that I am going to have to send this podcast to.
Yes.
If you thought I was because I literally, I went off on a 10-minute rant to Dominic and his friends about how they can now successfully put a TARDIS in the UK pavilion in Epcot and have it canonically fit into Doctor Who. I
was the other day I was watching an episode of Star Trek Discovery, and I love the show. By the way, it's a little off the topic, but they were in this space station where there was no gravity, and they were going around corners. And I thought, it'd be great if there was a TARDIS sitting right there, floating in the air. And I thought that would totally make the But unfortunately, only one time Doctor Who crossed into the Star Trek world, and that was in a fan fiction. That was 1983 by Jane Eyre, The Doctor and the Enterprise.
No, so, there was a comic.
Well,
there was a published Star Trek Doctor Who comic.
Oh yeah, that was way later.
Yeah,
but the earliest one is a fan fiction that we actually covered that on a podcast that was written as a Jane Eyre did the original Star Trek cast with Tom Baker, and it's quite a story actually. It's not. It was written as fan fiction. It got stolen from her and published without her knowledge, sadly. And she fought that tooth and nail, actually wrote letters to NBC Universal and BBC for saying, hey, these guys are publishing this and that's your property, and kind of called out the cops on them, but it didn't stop them, unfortunately. But that's one of the, just one of those things. I love crossovers, and I hope that continues to happen. Well, anyway, what were the big highlights of Galley One?
The biggest for me was Jodie. Seeing Jodie being near. I'll show. So there were a few, and I'll take you guys with me. So I got. There was a wonderful seller there. Who had all of these wonderful posters.
Okay.
And basically I kind of snuck in because I wanted to say hi to Auntie Alex and Kevin. And they were selling all of these beautiful posters of Jodie that I'd never seen before. And I was like, if we go like very somewhat under the table.
Oh, wow.
That in the middle, that is an art print.
Right. Yeah.
That I got at the charity auction. So a wonderful artist did this one as well. I'm going to turn you around really quick. So
my visual listeners will be getting
Sophie,
this, but
meeting Sophie
yes.
Meeting Janet
Fielding, yeah.
All of the Cybermen. Who were just outstanding.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Craig Ellis, who I don't know if it's very clear, but he signed it. Bring me back my human. Made me so insanely happy because I said, just write whatever you want on there.
Sure, yeah.
And then, so at the very top, that's fan art.
Yeah.
By the lovely Jodie. And I was so happy. This was the first time that I premiered the Dr. Master outfit.
Yeah, got the Sylvester sweater going there and all.
I went nuts. I was like, I'm going to premiere this at Galley One.
Oh, that's great!
It turned out incredible. And I actually, it is the first time I've looked at myself since I put on this cosplay, and I'm like, I look good in this. We should have gotten a little more time of Jodie in that outfit. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
And literally, I got every single photo with her that I possibly could.
Oh, that's great.
And
that's wonderful.
Now, one thing that I want to note, my friend Adam, can you see the Sonic that I'm holding?
Yes.
That is an actual metal-made Sonic.
Yes.
And he said, go in there and you can hold it while you're taking it. And apparently, when he did his photo op with Jodie, she held it. Was like, oh, real one.
Yeah. Those are the ones made. The name's going to escape me, but if my listeners want to go back 2 or 3 episodes to the Brian Wiga episode, he was the one that did Sonic Up and had the complete history of the sonic screwdriver, including the guy that makes the real ones. So you can do that. And if I think about it in post-production, I'll insert it here. But yeah, there are some really good Sonics out there.
And they did. I love the fact that
the green screen.
Yeah, the green screen one was a lot of fun. Like, how would the Doctor react to a cosplayer being in her TARDIS? And that was great. I'm going to see if because I put them down a little low. I have no room in my apartment. I have no room in my apartment. But
Well, it's like my this is my space here that I can keep my Who stuff in. So
if we go down a little more, obviously we have Frasier.
Oh,
And then we have
Frasier, of course.
Colin.
Colin.
Who was a love.
Oh, I love Colin.
And so sweet. And Katie freaking Manning.
You should have mentioned my name to her. That would have gotten you a little bit more. She's a dear friend.
A national fluxing treasure.
Absolutely. She is.
She is a love. She is warm. She is. Oh my God. And so, okay, so some people don't know. She apparently she
Check out the frame.
She loves what is it? She loves maple syrup.
Yes.
And a couple from Canada brought her. Apparently, we do it wrong. You're not supposed to put your maple syrup in a jar. You're supposed to put it in a can, like a soup can.
Right, like it's a can. That's the real stuff is in a can. Yeah.
Can of maple syrup. And this was the con that I realized if I'm gonna buy stuff, which is probably, unless they make additional Jodie stuff, that's probably not going to happen anymore. I mean, I spend.
Oh no, it will. It will.
I spend my money on experiences. I spend my money on fan art.
Yes. The Jodie stuff is going to continue because the money train on Doctor Who merchandise has just quadrupled in the last 5 years. And even though some things didn't take off very well, but the action figures and the things are starting to really, people are going into stores in England and buying them all, holding on to them and then gouging them out on eBay for ridiculous prices.
I never thought I would get my grubby little paws on this.
Okay.
I thought that this was an impossibility for me, particularly after Galley.
Mm. Oh, the backpack. Yeah.
This was like $200.
Yeah.
God only knows how I got lucky. I love that. I love that. I'll never wear. I love this thing. I love it so much.
I had to hold it on the plane coming home.
Oh no! Like I didn't get it there.
Oh, you got it.
I found it. Like I was hunting around. I'm like, oh my God, I got it. Which is that and this.
Oh, the 13 Funko with the coat.
With the coat, which is the way it should have been from the beginning.
Yes. Oh gosh, that's nice.
I'm still mad about that. But other than that, like I will spend like if you're a Whovian and you're I'm gonna put out fan art. Someone at another con, somebody gave me a 3D printed confession dial.
Nice.
Like these Whovians are
Whovians are the nicest people.
One of my friends sent me, and I do have a reaction to this, and I've got to put it up. She took a box and she decorated it exactly. I'm keeping this.
The Kerblam
Kerblam box.
Yeah, the Kerblam box. Oh gosh. Need some bubble wrap though.
Oh no, you didn't. But I don't know. Have you gotten your hands on these yet? Because I got mine and I want to be now that when I got it, I actually got it imported.
Okay.
So these are staying in the box, unfortunately, unless I can get another set.
Oh, I've got one on the way. Yes.
So
yes.
Here's the thing. Like I love Jodie's. Jodie's turned out outstanding.
The David Tennant Jodie. Yeah, that is a very sought after item nowadays.
She was signing. So I looked over at one point. She was signing a couple of these.
Yeah.
The signed ones are probably going to go up for auction. I don't know last year if they went up this year.
It might have been this year because I would just want to mention that they raised over $10,000 on the charity auction.
Oh, and so, I think Mandip Gill took my advice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to put this back really quick.
Sure. And the
last year at one of the meet and greets, Mandip was crazy. She wanted all of the ribbons.
Yes. I saw a picture of Jodie holding a mile of ribbon. Because that's the ribbon con started at Galley and then kind of moved over to I know.
Yeah, so this was last year. This was Chicago TARDIS.
Yeah, that guy. I see some of mine on there. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm really trying to do now is eventually I want to get over and be with my fiance in.
Yeah, of course.
So I started to put up some of my ribbons and I was like, you know what? I'm going to need to take them down anyway. Yeah. So why don't I just save them? And then when I eventually get to England, I can make this huge, wall of ribbons. Yeah. And because we're already going to have, I think we're already going to have issues with where I'm going to put all of my stuff.
Getting it over there is going to be your big challenge.
I mean, so long as I'm going to have to put all of the Jody stuff in a separate suitcase, or just ship it over there.
You'll probably have to ship it over. It'll be cheaper.
Yeah, no questions asked.
Yeah, definitely.
But really, for when you go to Galley, it is all about the experiences, and that is, the cosplay meetups.
Yes, yes.
If you can go to them, the little snack meet and greets, which again are just so. I mean, you only get 5 minutes with every performer, but
still, that's 5 good minutes. I mean,
there was a guy who was coming around. Who basically he dubbed himself the master for the night. Who was the 5 minute who was giving the warnings out, and I can't remember who it was, but there was someone who came over and they had been fiddling with something, or they hadn't had their full 5 minutes. And I was like, no, you got to give us a little more time. This person did not get full time.
Well, I should mention actors. Okay, I'm going to mention real quick though that Gallifrey One's Miracle on 34th Street is already set for February 16th to 18th, 2024 at the Marriott Los Angeles Airport Hotel, and I'm going to let my listeners know that hotel is already booked out for that weekend. People have already made their reservations a year ahead of time. And the ticket prices will be the same as this year. So $125 for the adult full weekend, $75 for the teen full weekend, and $35 for the child 3 to 11. So the processing fee will be added. And of course, they will be selling tickets via Member Solutions again, not Eventbrite. So that's important to know.
I'm already booked for that. Because I share a room every year that I go, but
fantastic. Actually, I was going to ask just to tell the listeners, what is the cost of attending Galley One? I mean, we got the ticket at $125 with hotel, flights, food. What is a user is going to be putting out? Not including buying autographs or anything like that. Just the basic travel, lodging.
For me, it was because I stayed with somebody.
That helps, yes.
That cut the cost in half.
Right.
So for me, and you said with the weekend ticket, it's about $700.
Okay, that seems about right.
If you do what I did, we're getting into the $1,300-$1,400.
Okay. That sounds about right. Yeah, I was looking at that myself, and I thought that's about what it's going to cost, especially now with flight costs are up due to economic issues, of course. And the hotels, there are hotels around LAX too, so you don't have to stay at the actual convention hotel. So that's one nice thing. But the hotel's already booked out. It looks like. I looked at that this morning, and I'm like, wow, it's already full.
It's and I think next year what I'm going to do, depending on who comes, if they get Jody, especially if they get Jody, but just depending on who they get as their headliners, I'm going for the whole TARDIS pass.
Okay.
And TARDIS pass includes everyone's autograph, everyone's photograph, like it's this whole big to do. It doesn't include the drink meetups.
Okay.
But that's close to $800, $900.
Okay.
700, somewhere between $700 and $900
for the TARDIS pass. Okay.
If Jodie's there, I'll make the money back. That's not,
yeah.
that is 100% going to happen. And I felt so, because I went to literally everything Jodie went to, and I'm sure there were a lot of other people, and I'm thinking, oh my God, she thinks I'm this crazy, hopefully she doesn't think that I'm this crazy.
Oh, I'm sure
fan. I think what a lot of people, the thing is, I am a crazy 13th Doctor fan. I love Jodie Whittaker. I love her in Adult Life Skills. Her Black Mirror episode was amazing. She is phenomenal. It's the 13th Doctor who changed my life. And she is the 13th Doctor. And I had that moment of like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to differentiate from the two of them. And I'm like, no, I actually am.
No, you will.
I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, I'm not going. Anyone who knows me, I am out there. I am weird. I am crazy. I am hyper. I am, and you've had to. You've seen that firsthand.
Oh yeah. I know. We travel. Katie and I traveled, of course, down to Doctoberfest last year, and not only was that a fun weekend, she won the costume contest. So I mean, it was quite a fun, and that was the first ever Doctoberfest, and of course, just to remind the listeners, next year's Doctoberfest will be an in-person convention with in-person guests. So I am a confirmed guest for Doctoberfest. I know about I can't talk about the rest of it because I know of other people that are coming. They're just waiting on signed contracts and official releases.
Right.
But there will be other people there, which will be nice. And here's the other thing that'll be nice too. We have a dedicated room for the Doctor Who collectibles, and Elwithis Pagan, of course, and I will be sharing that room with his costumes and scripts and things, and of course my setup too, which will be pretty impressive. I guess I was told it was pretty impressive last year. So,
I mean, even for what it was last year, it was so much fun.
Oh, it was great fun. It was a lot of fun to be down there, and there were some other wonderful people there that made it a very nice weekend, and of course just the opportunity to present twice was really nice, and to be on the same program with Sadie Miller and David Howe. It was wonderful. So it was just really nice to have that option. But of course, we did all the guests were in via Zoom, which was kind of neat. And of course, don't forget, if you go take the shuttle to Who North America and see the actual museum of stuff. And what made me pretty proud was the fact that Kevin, who runs the store down there, said, I noticed in your setup here, you've got a Dennis Fisher Cyberman with a box. I've got 3 Cybermen, no box. I said, oh, so I've got something you don't.
Oh,
how come you couldn't find a box? He goes, never came up in my searches. I said, well, I got to show you how to do a better search. So we talked, and
don't get me started. Oh my God.
How to do a better search and find what you're looking for. It's things come up all the time. It's really quite amazing when on this, for me, of course, this 43-year journey of collecting Doctor Who started in 1981. I didn't even know I was doing it in 1981, but we ended up, of course, ending up opening a store in Chicago and turning it into eventually that kind of regenerated into Chicago TARDIS down the line. So that's where that came from. It's really quite amazing to me when I read about it in Red, White, and Who and all that. It's like, wow, that actually happened. But by the way, this was a Christmas present. This
I love
sweatshirt. It's just with the newer logo. Of course, they're going back to the Lodge logo. The diamond logo will be back, and that's so refreshing to us older folks who grew up with Tom Baker, and Tom Baker in his 90s now. So, but still doing the part and still doing it for Big Finish, and they're still coming out with some wonderful things.
Get him. Chicago TARDIS for the if you're gonna
we can't. He won't travel anymore, unfortunately. William Russell is 98 and he's still traveling. So I know Tom is very, very weak these days. So he's not even signing autographs anymore. His autograph shop is shut down. But that's because I got a couple of those through the mail, which was really nice. He was very, I got him all I could. I met him back in '84. Very nice man. Met all the doctors from 2 to 8. I have not met any of the newer people because they don't come to Chicago. So unless they go to C2E2 or something like that, like David Tennant's been to C2E2.
Right.
But that's. It's a lot of
David, oh my God. I kid you not. I was tweeting. Yeah. I tweeted or I Instagram messaged, left a comment on Richard Price. And I was like, look, I'm telling you, if we could get you to Chicago TARDIS, I will take you up and you can take your suit. If they let you do this, I will take you around Chicago as a Cyberman.
Stop him.
Take a Cyberman to, let's go to the Museum of let's go to the Field Museum. Let's go to the aquarium.
Let's upgrade the masses.
Oh my God. I want a photo of, and for those of you who have never been to Chicago, one of our, along with our hot dogs, our icon is Garrett's Popcorn.
Of course, Garrett's Popcorn.
So if I could get a Cyberman in front of
Garrett's Popcorn,
holding a bag of Garrett's Popcorn and trying to eat it.
I mean, Lauren Cornelius wants me to figure out a way to ship her Chicago pizza because she's hooked.
Oh God!
They actually got a pizza delivered to the hotel, and they were just digging into it, going, "This is the best thing ever!" Like that Giordano's deep dish pizza.
I have mixed feelings. Yeah. Here's the thing: I will take anyone from Doctor Who says I want to go to Chicago and I want to try your food. I'll take you. I don't know if I'll eat the deep. I'm not a deep dish pizza girl.
Yeah.
Shameful.
Well, when I was on with Jason Miller, who does the Doctor Who Literature podcast, he and I went back and forth because he's from New York. So we discussed pizza at great length.
I'm sorry. I favor, it was John, who was it? John Stewart who said, Chicago pizza is not pizza. It's a bread bowl with tomato sauce.
That's exactly what Jason told me.
I'm sorry. I will go. I was born and raised in Chicago, but
yeah.
Hurt me if I'm wrong. It's a bread bowl.
It is a bread bowl.
I don't mind puffy dough. Like if you go to Disney, anyone who's been to Disney World knows the pillow puffy comes out of the machine pizza. But at least I know that I'm still getting something that slightly resembles pizza. This is bread. This is bread that's been soaked in there, and there's nothing wrong with bread soaked in tomato sauce. But I want to know I'm getting bread soaked in tomato sauce. I'm not getting pizza.
Oh wow! Just while we were talking, I just got an update here on season 14 filming. So I'm going to share a couple things here.
Go ahead.
That have never happened here. This is coming up here. The filming process is they're using technology that Marvel Films uses. Which means you're going to be seeing things you've never seen before. TARDIS flight scenes that'll blow your mind. Chewie Gatwa's costume has been somewhat revealed. There's still
he's got 2 of them now.
2 costumes, and of course the Meeps will be back from the comic book. Just an amazing thing. So right now the filming is in progress, and it's going extremely well. I guess there will be 3 stories that will be aired this November with the David Tennant trilogy of stories leading to his regeneration to the 14th Doctor, or the 15th Doctor now, I guess, as we're going to call him. And this is still weird to me because when I was a kid, they said he only had 13 lives. So having Doctor number 15 is still ringing around my head going, okay, yeah, we've changed the rules. We're going go full tilt. But that was just announced on Cultbox. So you can check out cultbox.co.uk for more information on that. Anyway, my guest was Katie Haynes, the wonderful, wonderful Katie Haynes, who's traveled with me. She's been with me at conventions. We've become really good friends, and she's also a staple on this program. So if you get this podcast, you get Katie usually 3 or 4 times a year. So, Katie,
oh my God! I'm your Fraser Haynes.
You're my Fraser Haynes. Of course, Fraser Haynes is on every program. He sings the theme song, but I've actually got him singing the theme song. He actually sent me a video clip of him just singing the song and talking about it, and I thought, well, what a wonderful, wonderful guy. And of course, at Chicago TARDIS, he actually acted as a mule for me because I had bought a very special item that the guy wouldn't ship to the United States. So I managed to get it to David J. Howe, and David lives really close to Fraser Haynes. So he said, I'll give it to Fraser and Fraser will take it to Chicago. So I texted Fraser and I said, Fraser, he's like, yeah, I got this for you. I have no idea what's in it, but meet me downstairs. I'll give it to you. And he goes, open that thing up. I want to see what you got. So what it was a unbound proof of Doctor Who and the Gunfighters signed by Donald. It's the flat pages with some of the editor marks and for the Target book. It's up on the shelf. But it's really quite something. And of course, I had to explain away the cover because the cover was the typesetting company that did it. Because somebody was like, wait a minute, I thought it was WHL. And I said, well, WHL is the publisher, but they sent it out for typesetting. Usually it's handwritten. It was handwritten or typed, and then they would typeset it for the book process, which was an old process. They don't do that anymore. But and then Donald Cotton was the author of the Gunfighters, and he signed the proof, and it's now in my collection. So Fraser was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I said, yeah, sorry, it's not one of your stories. So he goes, nope, before my time. But the Gunfighters did have Peter Purvis in it, and we recently had Peter on the program. So make sure that you go back and check that out. Anyway, Katie was my guest tonight. Thank you so much for being on the program, Katie. I really appreciate you being here. And of course, we'll have you back soon.
Absolutely. I love every single second we get to talk.
Thank you.
The vervoids are probably the best dirty joke in Doctor Who.
They're hermaphroditic plants.
A lot of plants are.
So there you go. It's based on science.
No, they'll ship anything.
There are probably 11 and handle shippers out there. You just have to drill a hole where his mouth is, and you're all set.
You know he needs the room. I've seen it in pictures.
I'm not saying you're not a fan. I'm saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Doctor Who gives a drunken Doctor Who podcast for the end times.
You are invited on an adventure across all of time and space, in a completely random order. It's the Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. Jump in the TARDIS with your hosts,
Eric Gulbranson,
Asad Kheshki,
and Matthew Kressel.
Explore Doctor Who TV stories, audio adventures, and books, both novels and non-fiction. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. It's the entire Whoniverse on shuffle. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast is a member of the Direction Point Network and is available about once a month wherever you find your podcasts. You are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Hi, I'm Rupert Booth.
I am known as Paul Ferry.
And my name is Barry Williams. Together, we host Time Ram.
Time Ram's a cruel mistress.
It's a random number generator.
That also.
We roll a number from 1 to 13, and that's our Doctor. Then 1 to 300 for the story, and then we ram them together. Even if it doesn't make sense.
Cruel, I tell you.
Time Ram, putting the wrong Doctors in the wrong stories, so you don't have to. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast.
Hello, fellow time travelers, and welcome to the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, the only podcast to discuss, in story order, all the Doctor Who novelizations. My name is Tony Witt, and every 2 weeks or so, I'm joined by a 2 to 3 person discussion panel, including our so-called expert who's been a Who fan since 1979. That would be me. We also get the views of intermediate, casual, and novice fans who either have never seen the show or who have never read these books until these podcasts, including
Dalton Hughes
and
Alison Fitz-Seyfried.
You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find good podcasts, or even ones like ours. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast on the Direction Point Podcast Network. Keep collecting.
In all my travellings throughout the universe, I have battled against evil, against power-mad conspirators. I should have stayed here. The oldest civilization. Decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core. Power-mad conspirators, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen. They're still in the nursery compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really corrupt.
And now it's time for the most outrageous offer. The most outrageous offer is a Doctor Who collectible or related item that is priced way above where it should be as far as whether or not you can get it for a lot cheaper, a lot less expensive, or there's so many out there that the prices aren't that close together. So in this case here, this price is way above where the average is. And so I want to address that. So the item in question here is Doctor Who Empire of Death by David Bishop. This was published by BBC Books in 2004. I do not have a copy of this in my collection, but this is a seller from the United Kingdom in Liverpool from DSM Books, a seller online since September of 2015 with only a 3 out of 5 star rating. So obviously there's some issues here with the seller. I didn't go into that. I'll take a look in a moment, see what that's about. Anyway, they're asking for a good, very good condition copy of this book, $1,157.79, with $24.39 shipping to the United States. So that's a bit high. Also, the amount here is questionable. Of course, that's probably a conversion here. So if it's in, let's see, pounds, it would be 949 pounds and 56. So it's a very suspect price. Let's take a look here at the seller. It looks like look like a completion rate is the problem here. So they had a problem with the seller doing that. And I don't see any reviews here, so they don't really post these up here. This was found on Abe Books. And so I did some research here, and you can find this book. Obviously, it's a collectible book, so the price is a little bit higher than what it usually was, but it looks like the average cost for this book is about $59. So we found another copy here on eBay. Buy it now. Actually, another copy on Abe Books here. Same condition. For $65.53 within the United States, free shipping. So that's also one good one. We found one on Amazon.com, paperback copies, for as low as $49.99 up to $51.94. And then there was a copy on eBay here, the buy it now price of $49.90 from Books for Ages, with a 99.4% feedback. So clearly the $1,100 price tag is miles above where it should be. There's no reason to spend $1,100 on this book. In fact, a lot of times, and I didn't do it this time, but I will send a message to the person. I did this in the last episode. I sent a message saying, hey, did you mean to put it there? And they said, oh, thanks for that. We'll fix it. And then they never fixed it. So it's still there. And then, of course, I post these links on the website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com in case you think I'm making this stuff up. I can't. But I also have I have copies I've printed out, and I usually try to take screen grabs too, so you can see what it looks like in case the page disappears. Sometimes the page disappears. But that's just crazy. Don't spend that kind of money. If you really want a copy of this book, it can be had for a lot less. And again, my theory here, which isn't my theory, it's the theory that was put out here by Mr. David J. Howe, that they don't actually have the book in stock, that they're hoping that you'll buy it from them and then they'll buy it from somebody else and then ship it to you directly. And that's kind of a, really shady business practice, in my opinion. If I put something up for sale on our eBay page, we have the item in our possession. We're not trying to gouge you. But anyway, that is our most outrageous offer. And that wraps up the Doctor Who Collectors podcast for this episode. I want to thank my very special guest, Miss Katie Haynes, who was here with us. It was a great conversation talking about Gallifrey One, 33 1/3. Don't forget Gallifrey One, the next one, whenever a bell rings and a weeping angel loses its wings or something like that. So be sure to, keep in touch with that on Gallifrey One. Tickets do sell out very quickly for that. So now our next episode is one that everybody's been waiting for. My conversation with Tasha Achilleos will be the next episode, and we will be talking about the late Chris Achilleos, his life, his art, and what's going to happen with his print shop. And I think that's a very important question that needs to be asked. So for that, and again, thanks for listening. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, and keep collecting.
Direction point!
A Doctor Who Podcast Network.